So more leads being the goal isn't always the case, right? Profit is the goal. And so what I'm going to show here is how to calculate lifetime value and compare it to your customer acquisition cost. And so this is sort of like the driver of everything, in the sense, if you're spending more money to acquire a customer than you're actually making from the customer in gross profit, then you can't make confident decisions. And so I'm going to show you how to break it down by month and then also by your different marketing channels. Okay, so step one is we need to go here, and then we have the date here, and we want to turn this into the word, January, or the word February. So we can then look up the word January, right? So the way you do that, I already did it here, but I'll do it again. So it's the text function. So equals text, and then cell B2, comma, and then 4 M's. And if you want this file, there's a link in the description. And if you can't find it, just shoot me an email, and I'll give you my email here in a bit. Okay, so now we have the month. And then what we need to find next is we need to find, we have customer acquisition costs, and you should have that. You should know how much you spent, per lead, essentially. So it's like, you spend, say, whatever, $3,000 on ads, and you got 10 closed deals, then you can do the math, and then you'd be able to calculate your customer acquisition cost. Okay, so then from here you're gonna have your first job revenue, right? How much did you make on the initial job? You're gonna have your margin on that, and then also, is there a service agreement? And then yes, so then you're gonna make 282 on that, and then also what is the expected repeat jobs for the next year? So 0.7 means maybe you have, I don't know, what would that be? Say 2 jobs over 3 years. And so you divide that, and then you get 0.7. And then your expected revenue, over the 12 months could be this number. And then you have your expected 12-month revenue overall. And this is a calculated column. And it's just the sum of first job revenue plus the service agreement plus the expected next 12-month revenue. And then the gross profit here is going to be those 3 numbers that we just did, or the 890.72 times the margin. Even though you might have different margins on the follow-up jobs, but you can still have like a best guess margin, which is, again, margin times expected revenue. And so you have this column here, which is very valuable. This is what we're going to be doing all the sums from. Okay, so if you just go in here somewhere and then type in the word month and then January, and then you can just drag that down until you get to December. And let me center everything. And now you have the months. And so from here, we want to get your customer acquisition cost, your average customer acquisition cost, and then your average, gross profit. And then we can do the math. I'm trying to copy this just to save a couple seconds. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want the average if S. So average customer acquisition cost if the month is January. So the first argument is the average range, which is going to, or the value. So the range that we want to take the average from, and that's going to be customer acquisition cost. And then the next thing is going to be the month, the criteria range, the range with the month criteria in it. In this example, month, and here we'll do the exact same thing, but on the marketing channel. And then the actual month, which is in cell B3. If you press Control Shift and the number 4, you're going to get a $sign, and then you can just drag that down. Okay, so we need to do pretty much the exact same thing here. The only difference is this column will change, and I'll show you by not redoing the formula, but just by changing the column. So it's going to be column O. So again, make sure when you calculate this, it's off of gross profit, not off revenue. And so what was it, column O? So just copy this here, and then change G, and again, Control Shift 4, and then you can double click. And then, yeah, the next part, the LTV to CAC ratio, just divide the two, and then you get this. If you press Control Shift 1, then you'll get a number value like that. And so, yeah, pretty straightforward on how to do this, but still very, like, one of the most important KPIs you can have, because this is sort of the engine of the business. It's like, how much is it to get a new customer? How much do we make off the customer, right? And so if my cost to acquire is greater than my profit per customer, then, you don't have a profitable business pretty much from day one. Okay, so now I'll just create a simple line chart like this. So all you have to do is just highlight the month range, hold down the control key, highlight the LTV to CAC range, and then go to insert. You can just click the line here. I mean, that would be the chart. Or if you want to see some other options, you can go, to recommended charts, or you can even click all charts. You can just sort of play around, see what you like. You can do different types here. I'll just do a simple line chart, and then I'll just change the color. And then the last thing we want to do here is let's just add some values to the chart. So if you click into the chart, click the crosshair, click data labels, and then you get the labels just like that. Yeah, so pretty straightforward chart. I mean, the thing with Excel and charts is like the hardest thing isn't creating the chart. That's the easiest part. The hardest part is getting these ranges calculated. Most people use pivot tables, but I'm not a huge fan of pivot tables. Just because like once you know the formulas behind the pivot tables, there's so much more functionality by knowing that. You're not sort of confined to just the pivot table. Okay, so the next thing is we want the unique list of the marketing channels, right? So we want to create this here. And so the way you do that is with the unique function. So equals unique, and then you can go to the data tab. You can click on marketing channel and then hold Control Shift and the down arrow. And that's going to highlight everything all the way down to the bottom. And then you can press enter. And so let me move my big head out of the way and zoom out a little bit. Okay, and so now you have this. If you want to remove the formulas, just highlight and then press Control C and then Control Shift V. And then you're good to go. And then you can just highlight this up here and paste it just so we have the same thing, the same headings here. And then finally, what we want is the exact same thing, right? The average of customer acquisition cost. The only difference is it's not on the month column. It's not based on the month column. It's based on the marketing channel column. Okay, so again, first argument is what do we want to take the average of, which is going to be column G. And then now instead of doing month, we want to do the marketing channel. And so again, comma, and then just click here and you can go up. It's in cell B18. Sometimes when you go back and forth, the formula like gets in the way. But yeah, again, Control Shift 4. You can remove that, remove the decimals. And then again, same thing. This time, average FS. And this time it's going to be the gross profit. So the average expected gross profit, where the marketing channel is. Maybe this time, yeah, it's still in the way. And then again, Control Shift 4, remove the decimals, double click down. And also, I mean, just like we did before, equals this divided by this, but I'll just show you, if you just copy this and you can actually just highlight this and paste, and it'll automatically do it for you. If you don't want to use the mouse, I mean, even though you wouldn't technically have to use the mouse to do equals, this divided by that, but if you like shortcut keys, this just saves a little bit of time. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is create this column chart here, or the cluster. I think it's called a clustered bar. And so all you have to do is just highlight this. Or what we can do first is we can sort this. Actually, no, let me do it this way, just so I'll show you what happens. And then again, you can go to recommended, and then yeah, clustered bar, and we have that here. And so what I was going to do just a second ago when I said sort is just because if you want like the smallest bar on top, like, Angie on top, and then no, actually it would be the other way. It'd be referral program on top, which it already is, which is good. Then you can do it that way. So, sorry. And so essentially the reason why you see this on top is because it's on the bottom. It's just a little counterintuitive. So we want to just sort this smallest to largest. And so just go into data, and then you can do like this. And then see the problem doing it this way. I wanted to show you this. So it looks like, okay, like it still doesn't look right. But the reason is because sometimes when you sort in Excel, the formula doesn't like change. Like it stays on Facebook ads, and we don't want that. We want it to be on Angie. Same thing here. It's pretty annoying actually that it does that. But once you redo the formulas, it's actually correct. And so yeah, so this is just showing, I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? Referrals, you have your highest lifetime value, then SEO makes sense. And then and then going down the list. And then Angie, in this example, Angie is your most expensive. But yeah, so anyways, that's how you can calculate, lifetime value to customer acquisition cost. It's going to be a very, very valuable KPI, if not the most valuable KPI, and not just for HVAC, for any business, because it just tells you, like, are you making enough money off of each customer? So then you can, change your pricing. You can also, on the other side, instead of, always increasing your pricing, you can discount your pricing if you have, really low customer acquisition costs. But anyways, that's all I got for this one. If you have any questions or you want the file or any of that good stuff, just shoot me an email. questions@databoards. I'll move my big head out of the way. And yeah, also, I'm going to be making a lot of videos covering HVAC KPIs. You might have already seen a lot. I'm going to do 160 to 200. Still sort of determining. I'm writing a book about it, and so I'm just trying to figure out the best. 8 departments times 20 KPIs or 10 departments by 20 KPIs. And so if you don't see, a KPI that you'd like for me to cover, then just, again, shoot me an email, leave a comment, however you want to do that. And then finally, if you need some help with your, existing spreadsheets and your, service Titan exports and all that other stuff, there's a link in the description as well for a form, and just to set up a time to chat. Or again, you can shoot me an email. But if none of that stuff sounds interesting, then I will see you in future videos.